Welcome to CrimePod Castle Unsolved Mystery Series, Episode 81. Today we're traveling to Kanyakumari Beach, a place known for its stunning sunsets and spiritual significance. Not typically where you'd expect a dark crime to unfold, but in 2015, this tranquil spot became the backdrop for a double homicide that remains unsolved.
And that's precisely why we're taking this deep dive. We'll examine the facts and unravel the theories and see if you, the listener, can pick up on any clues that might have been missed.
Two bodies discovered on the beach. Two lives seemingly unconnected. Ramesh Kumar, a 37-year-old businessman, and Priya Nair, a 29-year-old bank employee. They were from different towns, had different lives, and yet their paths tragically converged in Kanyakumari.
It's like finding two pieces of a puzzle that don't seem to fit, yet they're undeniably part of the same picture. What were they doing together so far from home?
Right, it's the first question that springs to mind. The discovery itself was chilling. It was fishermen who stumbled upon the bodies partially buried in the sand. Imagine their shock finding this on what should have been a normal day's work.
And the police quickly realized this wasn't a crime that happened right there on the beach. The bodies had been moved, suggesting a premeditated act, a deliberate attempt to conceal the true crime scene.
Okay, so now we have a puzzle with even more layers. Let's talk about the victims. We have Ramesh, a businessman who, according to those who knew him, was focused on growing his enterprise. Priya, on the other hand, was described as a quiet, dedicated employee at a local bank.
What's striking is how ordinary their lives seemed. These weren't individuals involved in high-risk activities or entangled in messy personal dramas, at least not according to initial investigations. This makes the motive even more perplexing.
So if their lives weren't intertwined, what brought them together in Kanyakumari? The investigation uncovered some clues, but also presented more questions than answers.
CCTV footage showed Ramesh's car entering Kanyakumari with Priya as a passenger. But after that, the trail goes cold. Where did they go? What happened in those missing hours?
And the car itself added to the mystery. It was found abandoned quite a distance from the beach, and inside there was a piece of cloth that investigators believe might have been used as a gag.
This suggests a struggle took place. But oddly enough, the car itself didn't show signs of a violent confrontation. This raises a crucial question. Was the car the primary crime scene, or were they taken somewhere else?
Now let's delve into the most unsettling piece of the puzzle. The cause of death. Both victims were strangled, but Priya also had defensive wounds, indicating she fought back against her attacker. This detail paints a grim picture of their final moments.
Absolutely, and it adds a new dimension to the possible motives. The fact that Priya fought back suggests a personal element to the crime. This wasn't just a cold, calculated act. There was rage, there was a struggle.
So does this point to a crime of passion? Were Ramesh and Priya involved in a secret relationship? Could a jealous lover or spouse be behind this?
It's certainly a theory that investigators explored. However, no evidence of a relationship was found. Their social circles didn't overlap, and no one reported seeing them together before that night in Kanyakumari.
So if it wasn't a personal connection, could this have been a targeted attack? Could Ramesh's business dealings or Priya's work at the bank somehow be connected to their deaths?
It's a possibility, but investigators meticulously scrutinized both their professional lives and found nothing to suggest a motive for such a brutal act. There were no disgruntled clients, no financial disputes, no whispers of wrongdoing.
We're left then with a chilling possibility. Could this have been a random act of violence, a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time?
It's a frightening thought, but the remoteness of the location where their bodies were found lends some weight to this theory. Were they simply unlucky victims of opportunistic criminals?
And if so, why choose such an isolated spot? Was it simply for convenience, or did the perpetrators know the area well enough to feel confident they wouldn't be seen?
The choice of location is a significant detail that investigators grappled with. It could suggest familiarity with the area, perhaps even a local connection. Or it could be a desperate attempt to conceal the crime, a hasty decision made under pressure.
Another possibility we can't ignore is blackmail or extortion. Were Ramesh and Priya lured to Kanyakumari under false pretenses, forced into a situation they couldn't escape?
That's a compelling theory, and it opens up even more questions. What could they have been blackmailed for? Money, information. Was there something hidden in their lives that someone else knew about and exploited?
We've uncovered quite a web of possibilities here. A seemingly unconnected pair, a chilling crime scene, and multiple theories, each with its own set of questions. What are your initial thoughts, listener?
We've laid out the facts as we know them. But it's your perspective, your fresh eyes on this case that could hold the key to unlocking the truth. Which details stand out to you? Which theory seems most likely, and why? We'll be back after a short break to dive deeper into the investigation and explore the lasting impact this case has had on the community. Before we delve further into the theories, it's important to consider the impact this case had on Kanyakumari. This is a town steeped in spirituality, a place where people come to find peace and solace. The Kanyakumari Beach Homicides shattered that sense of tranquility.
Yeah, this wasn't just a crime, it was a violation of the very essence of Kanyakumari.
Yeah.
The community was left reeling, struggling to comprehend how such a brutal act could happen in their midst.
And that feeling of unease is amplified by the fact that the case remains unsolved. Imagine living in a town where such a horrific event occurred and the perpetrators are still out there. It casts a long shadow over the community's sense of security.
Absolutely. And for the families of Ramesh and Priya, the lack of closure adds another layer of pain to their grief. Not knowing what truly happened, why their loved ones were targeted, can be a heavy burden to bear.
Imagine the endless questions that must haunt them. What were Ramesh and Priya doing in Kanyakumari? What happened in those final hours? Were they afraid? Did they suffer? These unanswered questions can prevent healing, leaving the families trapped in a cycle of grief and uncertainty.
It's a reminder that sometimes justice is elusive. But even in the absence of a definitive answer, the investigation itself can reveal valuable insights. Let's go back to the evidence found in Ramesh's car, that piece of cloth that might have been used as a gag.
That detail is particularly interesting because it suggests a level of planning and control on the part of the perpetrator. They brought that cloth with them, indicating they anticipated a struggle. They were prepared to subdue their victims.
So does that point away from the theory of a random act of violence? It seems unlikely that opportunistic criminals would come prepared with a gag.
That's a valid point. The presence of the gag suggests a more deliberate act, a premeditated crime, which might lend more weight to the theories of a targeted attack or a situation involving blackmail or extortion.
Let's explore the blackmail angle further. If Ramesh and Priya were lured to Kanyakumari under duress, what could have made them such vulnerable targets?
To understand that, we need to consider their backgrounds and the socioeconomic context of Kanyakumari. Ramesh, as a businessman, might have been perceived as wealthy, a prime target for extortion. And Priya, working in a bank, could have had access to sensitive information or financial records.
And Kanyakumari itself, despite its reputation for tranquility, isn't immune to crime. The town's location at the southernmost tip of India makes it a transit point for various activities, both legal and illegal.
Exactly. So while the Kanyakumari Beach homicides might seem like an anomaly in such a peaceful setting, we have to consider the bigger picture. Was this crime an isolated incident, or was it connected to something larger, something operating beneath the surface of this idyllic town?
These are all excellent points. Listeners, as you consider these possibilities, I want to bring your attention to another crucial detail, the fact that Priya had defensive wounds. What does that tell us about the nature of the attack?
It indicates that Priya fought back. She resisted her attacker. This suggests a level of personal rage or desperation on the part of the perpetrator. Perhaps they were surprised by her resistance, or maybe they lost control in the heat of the moment.
Could it be that Priya knew her attacker? That the struggle became more personal, more intense because of a pre-existing relationship?
It's a possibility worth considering. While no evidence of a prior connection has been found, we can't rule out the possibility that something was missed or that certain details remain hidden.
That's the nature of unsolved mysteries, isn't it? There are always gaps in our knowledge, pieces of the puzzle that might be missing forever. But even with those gaps, we can still analyze the available evidence, connect the dots, and form our own interpretations.
Absolutely, and that's what we're doing here today. We're piecing together the puzzle, examining the various angles, and inviting you, the listener, to participate in this process of discovery.
We've discussed the victims, the crime scene, the theories, and the impact this case had on Kanyakumari. But there's another crucial aspect we need to explore: the investigation itself. How did the police approach this complex case? What forensic evidence was examined? What were the challenges they faced? We'll delve into those questions, and we'll continue to unravel the mysteries surrounding the Kanyakumari Beach homicides. We've explored the victims' profiles, the chilling crime scene, and the various theories, but let's shift our focus to the investigation itself. How did the authorities approach such a perplexing case?
The Kanyakumari Beach homicides presented a significant challenge for the local police, faced with two seemingly unconnected victims, a crime scene that offered few immediate clues, and a community in shock. Investigators had their work cut out for them.
Right from the start, they had to grapple with the question that has haunted this case. What brought Ramesh and Priya to Kanyakumari in the first place?
The investigation involved a meticulous examination of their lives. Detectives meticulously reviewed phone records, bank statements, and travel history, searching for any indication of a connection or a common thread that could lead them to the motive.
It's like trying to piece together a shattered mirror. Each fragment reflects a small part of the truth. But can you ever truly reconstruct the whole picture?
That's the inherent challenge in cases like this, especially when you have limited forensic evidence. The crime scene on the beach was compromised because the bodies had been moved. This meant potential trace evidence like fibers or footprints could have been lost or contaminated.
So what about the car? It was found abandoned, but did it offer any valuable clues?
The car became a focal point of the investigation. Forensic experts meticulously examined it for fingerprints, DNA, or any other trace evidence that could link them to the perpetrators or reveal the sequence of events.
You mentioned DNA analysis. Did the investigators have any profiles to compare against?
Initially, no, remember, there were no immediate suspects and no clear motive to point them in a particular direction. The DNA profiles extracted from the car and the piece of cloth, believed to be a gag, were entered into a national database hoping for a match.
And did they find any matches?
Unfortunately, no. This added another layer of complexity to the investigation. It meant that the perpetrators were either incredibly careful not to leave any traceable evidence, or they were individuals who had never been in the system before.
So we have meticulous analysis of the victims' lives, a compromised crime scene, a car that offered limited forensic evidence, and no DNA matches. It seems like the investigators were facing dead end after dead end.
It's true, cases like this highlight the limitations of forensic science, especially when dealing with crimes committed by individuals who are determined to leave no trace. It becomes a battle of wits, a relentless search for that one crucial piece of information that can break the case wide open.
It's almost like trying to solve a puzzle where some of the pieces are missing and you're not even sure what the final image is supposed to look like.
Exactly. But even in the face of such daunting obstacles, investigators persevered. They conducted hundreds of interviews, chased down every lead, however tenuous, and meticulously pieced together the timeline of Ramesh and Priya's last known movements.
So after years of investigation with no arrests made and the case still officially open, what's the current status of the Kanyakumari Beach homicides?
The case remains unsolved, but it's not forgotten. Cold case units periodically revisit unsolved cases, re-examining the evidence through the lens of new technology and investigative techniques.
It's a reminder that even when time passes, the pursuit of justice doesn't end. The families of the victims deserve answers, and the community of Kanyakumari deserves closure.
As we wrap up our deep dive into this perplexing case, listener, we leave you with us. We've presented the facts, the theories, the investigative challenges, and the lingering questions. Now it's your turn to connect the dots.
What stood out to you as particularly significant? Which theory, based on the evidence presented, seems most likely? And most importantly, what do you think happened to Ramesh Kumar and Priya Nair?
Sometimes the most compelling mysteries are the ones that remain unsolved, prompting us to question, to analyze, and to search for answers that may forever elude us.
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of an unsolved crime. We hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, challenged your assumptions, and perhaps even inspired you to explore the world of true crime further.
Remember, every unsolved case is a story waiting to be told, a puzzle waiting to be solved, and while we may not always find the answers we seek, the process of exploration itself can be a powerful reminder of the complexities of human nature and the enduring search for truth.
Don't forget to follow and subscribe to our podcast for more deep dives into the world's most captivating mysteries. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay safe.